Genesis, chapters 4 through 7. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived, and brought forth Cain, and said, I have gained a man through God. And she again bore his brother Abel. And Abel was the keeper of sheep, but Cain was the tiller of the ground. And it was so after some time that Cain brought of the fruits of the earth a sacrifice to the Lord. And Abel also brought of the firstborn of his sheep and of his fatlings, and God looked upon Abel and his gifts. But Cain and his sacrifices he regarded not. And Cain was exceedingly sorrowful, and his countenance fell. And the Lord God said to Cain, Why art thou become very sorrowful, and why is thy countenance fallen? Hast thou not sinned if thou hast brought it rightly, but not rightly divided it? Be still, to thee shall be his submission, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain said to Abel his brother, Let us go out into the plain. And it came to pass, that when they were in the plain, Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. And the Lord God said to Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And the Lord said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood cries to me out of the ground. And now thou art cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the earth, then it shall not continue to give its strength to thee. Thou shalt be groaning and trembling on the earth. And Cain said to the Lord God, My crime is too great for me to be forgiven. If thou castest me out this day from the face of the earth, and I shall be hidden from thy presence, and I shall be groaning and trembling upon the earth, then it will be that any one that finds me shall slay me. And the Lord God said to him, Not so. Any one that slays Cain shall suffer sevenfold vengeance. And the Lord God set a mark upon Cain, that no one that found him might slay him. So Cain went forth from the presence of God, and dwelt in the land of Nod, over against Edom. And Cain knew his wife, and having conceived, she bore Enoch, and he built a city. And he named the city after the name of his son, Enoch. And to Enoch was born Gaidad, and Gaidad begot Malaleel, and Malaleel begot Methuselah, and Methuselah begot Lamech. And Lamech took to himself two wives. The name of one was Adah, and the name of the second Selah. And Adah bore Jobal. He was the father of those that dwell in tents, feeding cattle. And the name of his brother was Jubal. He it was who invented the psaltery and harp. And Selah also bore Thobal. He was a smith, a manufacturer both of brass and iron. And the sister of Thobal was Noema. And Lamech said to his wives, Adah and Selah, Hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech. Consider my words, because I have slain a man to my sorrow, and a youth to my grief. Because vengeance has been extracted 7 times on Cain's behalf, on Lamech's it shall be 70 times 7. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived, and bore a son, and called his name Seth, saying, For God has raised up to me another seed, instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And Seth had a son, and he called his name Enos. He hoped to call on the name of the Lord God. This is the genealogy of men in the day in which God made Adam. In the image of God he made him. Male and female he made them, and blessed them. And he called his name Adam, in the day in which he made them. And Adam lived 230 years, and begot a son after his own form, and after his own image, and he called his name Seth. And the days of Adam, which he lived after his begetting Seth, were 700 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Adam, which he lived, were 930 years, and he died. Now Seth lived 205 years, and begot Enos. And Seth lived after his begetting Enos 707 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 190 years, and begot Canaan. And Enos lived after his begetting Canaan 715 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 170 years, and he begot Malaleel. And Canaan lived after his begetting Malaleel 740 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalaleel lived 165 years, and he begat Jared. And Mahalaleel lived after his begetting Jared 730 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalaleel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years, and begot Enoch. And Jared lived after his begetting Enoch 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 165 years, and begat Methuselah. And Enoch was well pleasing to God after his begetting Methuselah 200 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch was well pleasing to God, and was not found, because God translated him. And Methuselah lived 167 years, and begot Lamech. And Methuselah lived after his begetting Lamech 802 years, and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah which he lived were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 188 years, and begot a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, This one will cause us to cease from our works, and from the toils of our hands, and from the earth, which the Lord God has cursed. And Lamech lived after begetting Noah 565 years, and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 753 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and he begot 3 sons, Sem, Cam, and Japheth. And it came to pass, when men began to be numerous upon the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God, having seen the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, took to themselves wives of all whom they chose. And the Lord God said, My spirit shall certainly not remain among these men forever, because they are flesh, but their days shall be 120 years. Now the giants were upon the earth in those days, and after, that when the sons of God were wont to go in to the daughters of men, they bore children to them, those who were the giants of old, the men of renown. And the Lord God, having seen that the wicked actions of men were multiplied upon the earth, and that every one in his heart was intently brooding over evil continually, then God laid it to heart that he had made man upon the earth, and he pondered it deeply. And God said, I will blot out man, whom I have made from the face of the earth, even man with cattle, and reptiles with flying creatures of the sky, for I am grieved that I have made them. But Noah found grace before the Lord God, and these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man, being perfect in his generation. Noah was well pleasing to God. And Noah begot 3 sons, Sem, Cam, and Japheth. But the earth was corrupted before God, and the earth was filled with iniquity. And the Lord God saw the earth, and it was corrupted, because all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth. And the Lord God said to Noah, A period of all men is come before me, because the earth has been filled with iniquity by them. And behold, I destroyed them and the earth. Make therefore for thyself an ark of square timber. Thou shalt make the ark in compartments, and thou shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. And thus shalt thou make the ark, 300 cubits the length of the ark, and 50 cubits the breadth, and 30 cubits the height of it. Thou shalt narrow the ark in making it, and in a cubit above thou shalt finish it. And the door of the ark thou shalt make on the side, with lower, second, and third story thou shalt make it. And behold, I bring a flood of water upon the earth, to destroy all flesh, in which is the breath of life under heaven, and whatsoever things upon the earth shall die. And I will establish my covenant with thee, and thou shalt enter into the ark, and thy sons and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. And all the cattle, and all the reptiles, and all the wild beasts, even of all flesh, thou shalt bring by pairs of all into the ark, that thou mayest feed them with thyself. Male and female shall they be. Of all winged birds after their kind, and of all cattle after their kind, and of all reptiles creeping upon the earth after their kind, pairs of all shall come into thee, male and female, to be fed with thee. And thou shalt take to thyself all kinds of food which ye eat, and thou shalt gather them to thyself, and it shall be for thee and them to eat. And Noah did all things whatever the Lord God commanded him, so did he. And the Lord God said to Noah, Enter thou and all thy family into the ark, For thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. And of the clean cattle take into thee sevens, male and female, and of the unclean cattle pairs, male and female, and of clean flying creatures of the sky sevens, male and female, and of all unclean flying creatures pairs, male and female, to maintain seed on all the earth. For yet 7 days having passed, I bring rain upon the earth, 40 days and 40 nights, and I will blot out every offspring which I have made from the face of all the earth. And Noah did all things whatever the Lord God commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of water was upon the earth. And then went in Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark, because of the water of the flood. And of clean flying creatures and of unclean flying creatures, and of clean cattle and of unclean cattle, and all things that creep upon the earth, pairs went into Noah into the ark, male and female, as God commanded Noah. And it came to pass after the 7 days that the water of the flood came upon the earth. In the 600th year of the life of Noah, in the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, on this day all the fountains of the abyss were broken up, and the floodgates of heaven were opened. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On that very day entered Noah, Sem, Cam, Japheth, the sons of Noah, and the wife of Noah, and the 3 wives of his sons with him into the ark. And all the wild beasts after their kind, and all cattle after their kind, and every reptile moving itself upon the earth after its kind, and every flying bird after its kind, went into Noah into the ark, pairs, male and female, and all flesh, in which is the breath of life. And they that entered went in, male and female of all flesh, as God commanded Noah. And the Lord God shut the ark outside of him. And the flood was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And the water abounded greatly, and bore up the ark, and it was lifted on high from off the earth. And the water prevailed and abounded exceedingly upon the earth, and the ark was borne upon the water. And the water prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and covered all the high mountains which were under heaven. 15 cubits upwards was the water raised, and it covered all the high mountains. And there died all flesh that moved upon the earth, of flying creatures and cattle, and of wild beasts, and every reptile moving upon the earth, and every man. And all things which have the breath of life, and whatever was on the dry land died. And God blotted out every offspring which was upon the face of the earth, both man and beast, and reptiles, and birds of the sky, and they were blotted out from the earth, and Noah was left alone, and those with him in the ark, and the water was raised over the earth 150 days. Psalm 3, a psalm of David, when he fled from the presence of his son Absalom. O Lord, why are they that afflict me multiplied? Many rise up against me. Many say concerning my soul, there is no deliverance for him in his God. Pause. But thou, O Lord, art my helper, my glory, and the one that lifts up my head. I cried to the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy mountain. Pause. I lay down and slept. I awaked, for the Lord will help me. I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people, who beset me round about. Arise, Lord, deliver me, my God, for thou hast smitten all who were without cause mine enemies. Thou hast broken the teeth of sinners. Deliverance is the Lord's, and thy blessing is upon thy people. Psalm 4, for the end, a song of David among the Psalms. When I called upon him, the God of my righteousness heard me. Thou hast made room for me in tribulation. Pity me, and hearken to my prayer. O ye sons of men, how long will ye be slow of heart? Wherefore do ye love vanity, and seek falsehood? Pause. But know ye that the Lord has done wondrous things for his Holy One. The Lord will hear me when I cry to him. Be ye angry, and sin not. Feel compunction upon your beds for what ye say in your hearts. Pause. Offer the sacrifice of righteousness, and trust in the Lord. Many say, who will show us good things? The light of thy countenance, O Lord, has been manifested towards us. Thou hast put gladness into my heart. They have been satisfied with the fruit of their corn and wine and oil. I will both lie down in peace and sleep, For thou, Lord, only hast caused me to dwell securely. Proverbs 1, 6-10. And will understand a parable and a dark speech, the sayings of the wise also, and riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and there is good understanding to all that practice it, and piety toward God is the beginning of discernment. But the ungodly will set at naught wisdom and instruction. Hear, my son, the instruction of thy father, and reject not the rules of thy mother. For thou shalt receive for thine head a crown of graces, and a chain of gold round thy neck. My son, let not the ungodly men lead thee astray, neither consent thou to them. The Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 2. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where the Christ should be born. And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah. For out of thee shall come a governor, that shall rule my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star, which they saw in the east, went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream, that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth, and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. And then was fulfilled which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, In Ramah there a voice heard, lamentation, and weeping, and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted, because they are not. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeareth in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. And he arose, and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea, in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither. Notwithstanding, being warned of God in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets, He shall be called a Nazarene.